turiu eiti, jeigu ką, tai aš tau po porą fondų galiu perskaityti, gerai? Okay.
Aš manau, kad galėsiu. Jo. Tai pala, aš pristatysiu trumpai. 1, 2, 3. Okay, everybody ready? Ready? Yeah! Futurepreneurs again. So, hello, everyone who just came just now. Hello, hello, nice to see you. So, today is we're going to talk and be introduced about minimal viable product. And we have a guest from company Deeper. And this is Donatas Malinauskas, so we know him for a couple of years in a row. He's a nice guy and clever guy, and he's actually a Chief Innovation Officer in Deeper. So welcome, Donatas, and applause.
Hi. Thanks for introduction, and it's a pleasure to see so many people eager to learn something new. So are you ready to learn something new? Yeah? Good. But that will be not enough. I hope that we'll have some discussions, maybe a small workshop. So I hope some input from you as well. So introduction was very short. Do you know what is Deeper? Can you raise your hands? Seems like still we need some introduction. So basically, Deeper is, it was startup. Our story started in almost 8 years ago already. Yeah, it will be 8 years in March. Then we had an idea, and my colleagues went for fishing trip, and they understood that those people who like to fish, anglers, most of them are fishing from the shore. And another half, a little bit less than half, usually get some boat, get into the boat, into the lake, and then fish. So they have technology to see what is underwater. There are sonars which are quite big, heavy, and you need boat to operate them. So we got an idea that maybe we can do something about that and give knowledge to anglers what is under the water without the boat while they are standing on the shore. So we made small, maybe I have one. Yeah, I do. Small ball. You can attach it to a fishing line, cast into the water, and take your mobile phone or tablet and see what is happening there. If there is any fish, what's the depth, if there are some underwater weeds, and so on. So now we are selling such devices and distribute our apps all over the world. So in most of countries you can buy it and go fishing. We got quite a lot of awards from all continents except Antarctica. I don't know why, but penguins are not buying our devices, don't use our software, and don't give any awards. Okay, so that's a short story from what company I am, and today we are going to talk about MVP. Maybe someone can share ideas why it is important topic. Anyone? No? Okay. So I need to explain. Yes. So if we would look at the reasons why startups are failing, top reason is no market need. This research was conducted, I think, 2 years ago. I'm not sure if something much changed during those 2 years, but previously, when I looked at the reasons, it was still the same. And other reasons, of course, important, but the most important is first. So if you build some product which is not needed by customers, most likely will not succeed. So one of the ways how you can check if your idea, or in some cases business model is good, is MVP. So what we think is MVP? Do you know? Who knows what is MVP? I thought that there will be just a lot of hands and I can go home. But maybe you can share what is this? Yeah. Yes, but what does it mean?
It's a minimum viable product. It's to build something small, to test it, to offer for market, and see if it's valuable for market.
Yeah, basically that's it. Thank you very much. You made my life a little bit easier. Yeah, so do you know this guy, Eric Rice? Yeah, good. So he has written The Lean Startup. If you didn't read it, I suggest to do that. He's really smart and he has a lot of interesting ideas and ways how to build a startup. So he said that it's actually the way how, in the most cheapest way, to acquire information and test your ideas and validate if customers will love what you are going to offer to them. And there are 3 words, yes, minimum, viable, and product. So basically, if you build something minimum, that doesn't mean that it's already MVP. So it's very important to focus on most important problem which you are going to solve. If you will not achieve this, it is not going to be MVP. If it is not viable, that means if it is not delivering value to customers, definitely it is not MVP. And if it is not a product, it is something else, wireframe or something else, it's still not MVP. So you need to have all those 3 components. It's very also important not to make it just like functional. Where is pointer? Oh, here it is. So, does it work? But you don't see anything. So if you make it just very basic functions and that's it, it's ugly, nasty, and in theory you can achieve with this product what you want, but you get angry, most likely it's not also it's not minimum viable product. Do you use Lithuanian government systems like e-police, etc.? Yes. So, yeah, it's example when it's not user-friendly. You can achieve what you want. You must do that because you don't have any other way, and you use it, but you're not very happy. Yes. So if you are going to go into a competition with product like this, most likely you will not check your assumptions, you will not get information if you can get this market fit. So be careful. So what can you test with minimum viable product? Actually, in most cases, you can test 2 things. One thing is a business model. So you can build minimum viable product and start selling and checking if your idea is good, if customers are paying, and if product will work. So actually it is already full product with all components. And if you get a good result that can validate your idea, but if you fail, that doesn't mean that idea overall is bad. Does it make sense? No? So simply, if you decide what to measure, build MVP, all full product, start selling, and for example, you don't reach your results, what you was going to reach. maybe your idea about product itself is really good, but maybe you failed, for example, with communication. You was not able to get your clients. Maybe your pricing was bad. So it doesn't say that idea itself is bad, but all overall execution may be bad. Yes. Yes, so if you are going to run full scale, so yes, it is already full business. But if you make a small group of testers and you offer everything what you are going to offer for a big group of customers later, full scale, so it is still MVP. So you build small product, you take a test group, you already start selling, etc. So this is small scale, normal MVP. Just for testing, if you should get more money for marketing, for operations, etc., and boost everything. So if in this case you get into failure, maybe, for example, you incorrectly selected a test group, maybe communication was wrong, etc. So even if you get into a problem, you still need to check where you have failed. Yes. Yes, I can give examples. So it was not in the initial stage, but we use this approach currently, for example, when we are going to launch new product. So initially, we have some idea what product we are going to build, and as we have a hardware product, so usually we build up to the point before serial production. Yes, it is prototype, but it's already in the stage before normal manufacturing. So usually we, for example, just print enclosure, but not make a normal manufacturing process. And we make such, it's like, already looks like normally manufactured, but processes were used not regular ones. So it's more sample, but high quality sample, and regular user will not distinguish that it was not made in factory. No, not 8 years ago. We did that, for example, 1 year ago with our newest product. Then we select test group, and then we ship to them. Of course, we get agreement that we will not communicate about it, etc. And we're checking our assumptions about pricing, about value which we are delivering to our customers, and we check if it is aligned with our main business plan and what we are going to achieve with this product. So basically, we're checking with particular product if we are going to have market fit from pricing, from communication, and all other aspects. And only after checking this, we go already with normal amount of money into marketing, placing it into sales channels, etc. Did I answer the question? Good. Next thing, when you are going to check product idea. So it's called concierge MVP. So you are not building product itself, and it works really good when we are talking about services. This was just advertising, but actually it illustrates really good the idea. When you, instead of creating full-scale software, you replace some parts with person, with Excel instead of normally running software, etc. For example, if you remember, there was startup Y-Plan, or also I think Airbnb also used the same approach. Well, not all full software was developed, just, for example, forms, but later everything was executed by people. For example, Y-Plan, they were selling last-minute tickets for really good price. So we purchased tickets not for good price, regular price. We didn't integrated systems to event organizers, but simply we went to regular booking office, bought tickets, get into metro, deliver to the person personally, not the digital version, but regular printed paper version. So what we did, we checked all idea, but some parts were replaced by regular person. So that gives a way to check if people would like to use your service. Does it make sense if you deliver value without investing a lot of money into software or some other business operations? Any questions about this? No? We can move forward. So sorry? With, in that way? No. No. We have never used this approach, by the way, in Deeper. When we did, so we actually built MVP. The same case was with software, with hardware, with apps, etc. But we didn't. So what's the difference between MVP and sample in your case? Mm-hmm. For your product, because we have like a physical product, let's say. Yes. So in our case, if we have a sample, so investment goes only into developing sample. If we go into production, that means like regularly 2 or 3 times more money to invest in all other manufacturing processes, to prepare machines, lines, to buy raw materials, to stock finished products, etc. And if we build a product which will not have market fit, so this sample and this MVP lets us test if we should really go forward and invest money into all rest part. So is it correct that MVP is sample? In our case, yes. Yes, yes. In hardware product, yes. Okay. So we can ask ourselves what we need to do to have successful MVP. So one of the most important things is to clearly understand what we are going to test. Because usually when we start some business, we have some product idea, etc. We have a lot of unknowns. And some of them can be cleared out with MVP. So we need to clearly understand what assumptions we're testing. Product idea, the way how we sell, pricing, how people will accept your product, etc. And how exactly you are going to measure and say that, okay, we are really successful and we can go forward from this point. And when you are designing MVP, you need to have this in mind, which assumption will be measured, and prepare exactly for this. What pitfalls you should avoid when you are planning your MVP? So one thing is very clearly understand what your customer will be, for whom you are building this product and MVP. It's very easy to get in situation when you start telling for yourself that if I will add this feature, I will get also that group of customers. If I will do something small, I will get even more customers, and you start losing your focus. So just take the biggest group of customers with whom you are going to work and to whom you are going to deliver value, and focus only on that, and just push all other ideas to the side for the future. Another thing, and I have seen this several times in my life, when people start making ideal thing already from MVP, and it's very difficult for them to launch and to start selling, to start testing, and we are improving, and that can take even years. So it's always difficult to say that already this is the point where we will stop. Because when you are developing product, you start seeing more opportunities. You start seeing how you can improve your product, how you can make it better. And from MVP, you can go to most ideal thing. And even not having customers. So either you will just spend all money you have and do not launch anything. Anyway, at some point that will happen. Also, it's related to the first one when you start considering building what is nice to have and start losing this MVP moment, and product becomes not MVP anymore, but just collection of features. After launching of MVP, if you will not clearly state what is success, you can start already negotiating with yourself after that and questioning yourself if it was success or not. I have seen that, for example, in Deeper several times when we were not able to agree before what is success, and after launching something, we sit and talk again. So was it success or not? Should we continue or not? And it's quite a hard discussion. So when you decide before what is criteria for success, it is much easier. Another thing, it's more related to idea, not MVP itself. A lot of people says that, okay, I have totally unique problem. I have found it in the market, and I will solve it. Usually, it's not the case, and usually there are alternatives, and people somehow lived until today, have quite good life, etc. And they already have some solutions. So you need actually to consider what people today use to solve their problems. And you always have some alternatives, and you must have in mind, and when you're building an MVP, you need to understand actually why people should switch to your product. Of course.
Relying on your experience, what would be your advice then on those criteria that you have to understand what's success and what's not? What's enough to move forward?
Okay, so there are several things when we are talking about product. So we had once a failure. I can give you an example. We decided to launch a new app version with a lot of changes, user interface, collection of features, etc. And we decided that criteria for success will be if NPS, do you know what is NPS, Net Promoter Score, will be 70. And actually, it was really bad measure for success. Later we understood, but it was a little bit too late. We selected a group of testers. We gave to them this, it was really MVP, which we considered it is MVP. We had roadmap for later development of the app, and we gave to our customers potential, asked them to test the app, and then we measured NPS. And NPS was higher than 70%, which is perfect, and it is really good. And later we just switched off old application and introduced new one. And it was disaster. And at first it was like, what has happened? NPS was higher than previous application, etc. And later, returning once again to the same group of testers and asking more questions, we understood that we were considering what we got into their hands as a really good application, but we would not consider switching from the old one to the new one, because we understood that those features which are not available now in this MVP will be added later, and we are testing like some alpha beta version. So those changes which were introduced, they are really good. But we were not happy that we have removed something, and from all analytics, etc., we considered that some features are not used and they are not important to our customers. So basically, we defined incorrect metrics. We didn't ask correct question. NPS was good measure, but there was no in combination question if you would switch from the old application to the new one. So that was quite a big failure. So be careful.
So would you advise to have NPS during the testing period as like the major criteria?
There are some other metrics as well. So for example, is CES, so Consumer Effort Score. When you are measuring and asking questions, how much effort comparing to alternatives you need to achieve the same result. So it's something like that. You can read, there are quite a lot of resources about CES. So this is really good metrics when you're introducing new products, because NPS is not good metrics enough, because you can be quite happy with a product overall, but that doesn't mean that you will switch from the other one. Either it can have also high NPS and your product maybe is lower, and you can't compare with competitors, because usually you don't have such data. But if you are measuring effort and you get that effort is really, they don't need a lot of effort. And if you ask, would you switch from alternative solutions, then you can be quite confident. Okay, so what is path to success? So either you should make a better solution than existing, so performance is better, clearly, comparing to what alternative exists. Either it is cheaper with the same performance, either it gives totally new, let's say, way to solve problems. So that could be example of the deeper, like onshore anglers, we didn't have any opportunity to use sonars, and we just gave the way how we could do that. So there are quite a lot of examples in history when that has happened. Can we move forward? Any questions? No, good. Some examples. So I think nobody will recognize from this view, but it's Airbnb, the first MVP, which was built like this. It was just form where people could do very basic stuff, and actually only with one flat in one area, or maybe there were some few flats, or just put, I don't remember exactly. Frankly speaking, I think they put several flats, but only one actually had rooms for renting. There was conference in that city, and we made everything just for that one event. And we wanted to check idea if strangers would go not to the hotel, but just to some flat. And would we rent this flat from strangers, etc. So we actually sold all rooms, etc. And they decided that, okay, so people actually would do that, and they validated their idea of this MVP. Another example also of concierge MVP, when some simple software was prepared, but later every operation was conducted by live people. So idea was to rent dresses, etc. to other women, and we didn't know if women would like to do that. if someone would take from wardrobe dress and rent it to stranger. So this idea was from students, and they have operated initially and made this MVP in their dorm, and that was success. So those girls understood that, okay, woman would rent their dress to strangers and everything is going to be okay. Hardware, not hardware, another software example is Uber. So initially we had a very simple application, and their MVP was for testing if regular people, not cab drivers, but car owners, would spend their time and use their own cars for service. So we needed to get drivers registering, and initial MVP was exactly for this. So we spent money, extra money, not earning, just to getting people registering on the platform. Another example, it's hardware example of MVP. So first iPhone, I think, does someone have first iPhone in their hands from this, those people? Someone? No? Actually I had, so comparing to today's iPhones, it was really strange. There was no app store, there was no applications, anything, and basically it was browser. You couldn't do much. You could just either browse in Safari, either read emails and call. And yeah, text messages also were there. Comparing, sorry? Yeah, and play music. And that's it. And apps, other stuff came after just, I think, 1 year or more. And what we wanted to check and what idea we had, we wanted to give really good way of browsing in mobile phone. And we wanted to check if actually people will buy browser. Because other devices which existed at the same time, they used totally different protocols, not HTTPS, and special web pages should be prepared for like Nokia phones and other phones, and we were reduced to very simple text interfaces with small graphics. So it was a nasty thing, and Apple said it is not going to work that way. We will give full normal browsing experience on mobile phone. So that was actually also could be seen as MVP, but it would be really nice to sell MVP in such numbers, yes, as we did. Okay, so I'm talking already for some time, but you should ask me and yourself if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to build MVP, where should I start? I have been talking about success, of what not to do, etc. But actually you should start not from MVP itself. First thing what you have to do is clearly to define vision of a product. When you start talking about vision, mission and stuff like that, people get scared and think about strategic sessions and stuff like that. No, everything is really simple. When you are defining product vision, it must be really short, like 2 or 3 sentences. You need clearly define what problem you are going to solve and what is your customer. For example, when we have been working on Deeper, first version, it was really clear. We wanted to give to onshore anglers the way to see what is on the water. That's it. So when you are building something, you have an idea, put it in 1 or 2 sentences, and that will be just guiding you through all the way to MVP and to product itself. Any questions about this? No? Good. Next thing, you need clearly understand what job will be doing your MVP and your product to your customer. You can imagine that someone is going to employ some person to do job for the product or service you are going to build. So please clearly understand what pain points today customers have using alternatives, and what features would remove this. So how product should be operated, what should it do, what service should do, how it should be used to remove those pain points. So in our case, it was very clear that our customers are onshore anglers, and imagine, if you go fishing, does someone go fishing sometimes? No? Yeah, so when you go to some unknown location, to the lake which you do not know, and you stand on the shore, you don't know anything. Initially, you don't know the depth, you don't know if there is any fish, if there are some weeds and maybe you will lose your lure, you don't know anything. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to give information for those people who are standing just in front of the lake, the way to learn what is waiting for them. That's not guarantee of successful fishing, but that already gives a lot of information. Should you cast there? Should you go to another place? Etc. And then you can start actually building list of features. What product should you have? Should it have some interface, some input? Should it have display if you are talking about hardware product, etc. And when you are considering features, you should think which pain points it will remove and also impact on customer and value it will deliver to customer. And another thing which is important when you have a list of features, some of them will be easy to implement, some will be really difficult. So what to do with the list? Maybe we can try to do that here. Maybe someone has some idea and we can just go through the list and fill it. What do you think? Yes.
So you assume that the problem that you recognize is also a problem for them, but like a fact that they do not enjoy this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So they really want to know, but they do not enjoy this, the fact that they come to the lake and they do not know. Maybe they like it. How were you so sure about it?
Yeah, so how we were sure, we had two reasons. One thing, talking with anglers, so friends, etc. Another thing, we observed forums, etc., what people are talking about. And third information were another group of anglers, those who own boats, kayaks, etc., and they purchase sonars already. So basically, they had solution for this, and those who are standing on the shore, they just were not able to get this technology because it did not exist until then. Because deeper looks like that, you can attach and cast it, and regular sonars, they are like 3.5 kilo, big screen, a lot of wires, etc. So it was easier because we saw that we can transfer the same, let's say, product to totally new or solution to totally new group of customers. So in our case, it was easier because we had example of success already. Yes.
How much your product has changed since you have introduced it? Actually, like as a product, it hasn't changed a lot, so like much. And you talk about additional features that you are implementing on the app, but it's actually not that product, the one that you usually buy. You buy that bubble,
Yes. So the bubble is.
Actually, how much it has changed in during that your development years? I don't know.
Yeah. So the question is how changed this hardware product, yes?
Let's say like,
Yeah.
because the simple function is like to show the fishes on the screen, yes?
Yes.
It's like the problem from the beginning that you have solved already for those people like that they have no those boats and they are not able to travel around the lake, yeah?
Yes. So answering that question, now we have fifth version of hardware product comparing to with the first one. A lot of things has changed actually. And we have identified several directions for improvement. One of it was working time. The first one was working approximately 3 hours, and now we can offer up to 5 hours approximately. Not only battery, there are more reasons why we were able to extend. Another thing and direction was distance from the shore to how far you can cast it, because there are a lot of different segments. And when I said that you should focus only on one segment, so initially when we started looking at our customers, it seemed that okay, there are two groups: those who go fishing with boats and those who are fishing from the shore. Later we have found out that there are much more groups, and we need to differentiate this big segment into smaller ones. So we find out that there are, for example, ice anglers who go fishing only during winter when there is ice. So we make a hole and fish, and that's it. When it is spring, summer, we don't go fish. There are some people who go fish all year round with different styles, etc. Also, there are different ways of fishing, and some of them are fishing really far away from the shore. So usually that's carp anglers. So we needed another direction is in making larger distance for them, range from the shore to the deeper itself. And the third direction, it was the way how sonar itself works. So the first one, it was not so sensitive, and anglers wanted to understand very clearly if it is small fish, if it is big fish, if it is school of small fishes, etc. So we have drastically improved sonar itself. So mostly it was target separation, so how far two fishes should be one from another. So first one was able to show us separate objects if it was 5 centimeters, and now it's 1.2 centimeters. So if you have two small fishes, just 1.2 centimeters one from another, you will distinguish that it's not one bigger fish, but two small. And the fourth direction and totally new feature was, which we have added, we added GPS later to the new model, which was the second one, to make possibility for our anglers not only to see the depth and if there is any fish, but also to make bathymetry maps, what is really important for keen anglers, because knowing the profile of the lake, you can understand what kind of fish will be in some particular place. For example, some fishes like deeper places, holes, and we sit there and hide. So we were able to give another functionality just to map the lake itself. So comparing newest version to the first one, there is a really big improvement. And comparing today's product to that one, yeah, it was really MVP. And even initially what we have launched, it was very simple. And later we made several firmware updates for the product itself, and we added features not only in the app itself but also in the product to enable ice fishing, etc. And people who bought first version of Deeper, later we got updates and we enabled new features. Yes? Yes, just give me a minute, I will try to edit. Yeah. So,
Hello, my name is Nada, and with a group of people we are thinking of one idea, and the vision would be how can we encourage cashless tipping at the restaurants in a seamless and emotionally safe way.
okay, so your vision is a way how to tip without cash, yes? Okay, let me
Cashless
try to...
tipping at restaurants.
And your customers will be who?
Restaurants.
Restaurants.
Service merchants.
Cashless, you said something else, cashless tipping?
Seamless, convenient, but these are the features then.
Okay, and custom... Okay, and now alternatives. What we have now?
Basically nothing.
Okay, so just cash, yes.
Yes, we have cash. There are a few solutions POC based, but not very convenient. Yeah, I'm talking about Lithuania.
It's, I think it's called, there is an app called Tippy, no? Mm.
Why?
I think I know why, because there is administration burden and you need to calculate properly and yeah, pay taxes, and also accounting becomes more difficult. So I can imagine that that can be really a problem. Okay. Okay.
Well, this is hypothesis, of course, which needs to be tested. But we don't want POS.
And Tippy, I think that's just an app, and you transfer directly to waitress, because even when you scan the link, you select the person and he gets directly, but you should check. And pain points is very funny. Taxes, I never thought it can be pain points, but yeah, maybe. And tax administration office should be already interesting what we are writing here. Okay, what other pain points exist now?
What we find out also that waiters usually feel not okay to ask for the tip, and the givers, the customers usually are not easy when they want to tip, but not so much, you know, so they don't want to be seen how much they tip. So this is...
So customers do not want to be seen, okay.
And waiters, they don't want to ask. So there is some kind of intimacy around.
Okay, so now let's not question if those pain points really exist, because we are not going now to make all research, etc. But let's say they exist, and now we need to plan features which would remove those pain points. So how solutions should look like and what features it should have, which would allow to remove those pain points. Any ideas? Someone can help also, you can contribute. Do you have also ideas how that can be built? Okay, so how this transaction should be initiated to make it easy? So some kind of, any ideas maybe you have? Yeah, but cash is easy, but for example, I avoid cash, and actually I don't, in most cases I do not tip, not because I don't want to tip, but I don't have cash simply. So in US it's very easy. You get a check and you just put amount and we take money from your card together, and that's it. Very easy. In Lithuania there is TP, I sometimes use it. But any other ways, yes? TP? I have used maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 times.
I think that the Lithuanians, they don't like making tips.
Yeah, usually, personally, me, I tip most time. Not always, but yeah.
And also for a coffee, you just say how much you want to tip and you just have your card.
Okay, so now the main thing is not to look for alternatives. Let's leave to that team to find out what can go wrong. But let's say we did really good already research. We find out that yes, people want to tip. They do not have cash. We need a way. And now there are three alternatives, so cash, POS, and TP. And still with those three ways, there are pain points that if you go with POS solution, you need to account and declare taxes and pay, and nobody wants to do that. Let's say that's real case. The second thing, that waitress feels bad about asking for tips, and customers do not want to show how much they tipped. Yeah. So let's try to build a list of features which are oriented to removing those pain points. So one thing, it can be the app, yes? One way, yes? And somehow we need easily to initiate this transaction. So, for example, if, I don't know, waitress shows something, you scan with the app, and money goes from one account to another. That's one way. Maybe someone has another idea how we can initiate this transaction. Hey guys, don't question if you don't have better solution. If you have better solution, just offer and we put it there, okay? Because we can see a lot of ways how it can go wrong, but please suggest something better. Yes?
E-wallet. Maybe the company that serves you, the restaurant can make an e-wallet for every waitress that can pay the tip.
What does it mean, e-wallet in that case?
Like separate account where cashier gets bonuses with the paycheck. Like
And how money would be transferred to that account?
people that will be added to their like check.
So I think you are trying to offer something to solve customers do not want to show how much they tipped. Yes. So all funds should be in one account and later distributed somehow to all waitresses. Yes? Okay, so one account for tips and okay, so any other features needed? So we have something already, how we can search restaurant, select waitress from the list. Yes, and payment, so how we are going to make actual transaction. Now we can find, we will transfer everything into one account, distribute in the end of a month maybe, or week or day, and transaction itself. So adding credit card, would that be an option? Yes? Anything else? Would you like to add something to a feature list? Yes? So basically it should work like automatic notification or something like that, that you have been in this particular restaurant, you have been served by Pranute, and you can leave it there, yes?
If I may just say regarding the app and regarding this idea, we have thought about it. The problem is that everybody has already so many apps, and for that you would need to again to download another app. So we were thinking if there is some kind of solution, it should remain within the merchant. So that's from the merchant side, not from the customer side. And then you lose this.
Yeah, it's okay. For our task, it's
Good,
okay
thank you.
to have. Later you can consider if it's good or bad. And maybe we can consider if we should do that or not. Maybe something else we can add to this feature list. What do you think? We go to the restaurant, we are eating, then we are leaving, before we are paying and also leaving tip in some way, finding restaurant, selecting waitress. If we don't do that, later we get notification that I was in that restaurant. I am asked to leave review and tips. And what happens else? And also I add credit card to my account, yes?
Review, you just
Review, yes? Yeah, so I have already that there, but maybe I should add it separately. I will just copy and remove from there. and offer to tip, and where offer to rate. Yes. Anything else? We are happy with this? Can we go forward? Yes.
One more thing, maybe it would be convenient for the restaurant to receive some kind of feedback
Feedback from
from the customers so that
to restaurant.
to the particular waitress, but again, usually on some aspects of how they were serving.
So if you don't feedback, so then you compulsory to pay a tip.
And you can't leave the restaurant without doing that. Okay, someone had you, I think, yes? For Square, yes. How it is written? Is it correct? Let it be. Okay. Anything else? Are we happy already? Someone has some dream about tipping system and application, and you will say we must do something else? No? We are okay. Yes.
Maybe there could be a reservation could be paid, and those paid reservation money either can be later used as a tip.
Very good.
Or as a discount if you don't tip.
Okay.
So you prepay your tip.
Okay. Reservation. Prepay your tip. Anything else?
And maybe administration for the taxes. Anyway, we have to pay taxes.
Administration of
Administration of the tip pot or individually, I don't know, but
okay, so I think for now we are quite good for the next thing. So we have in mind that we have defined vision: cashless tipping, seamless and convenient, and customers will be restaurants. Yes. So we can move with this list to another window, and let's take each of the feature and try to put that on this chart. Whoops. Does it work? No, it doesn't work, unfortunately. So basically what we have there, we have two axes. Vertical one is high customer for value, high value for customer. And if we go up, so value for customer is higher, and impact for him is higher. So he's more happy, he gets more value from this. And in horizontal axis, we have difficulty or cost to build particular feature. So let's think that all of us are really good experts of our customer, and our customer is, don't forget, is a restaurant. And also we have really good engineers, and we can just, will it work? Yes. And we can agree on cost and difficulty. So search for restaurants. How is it important for restaurants and to perform the action? How much value it will be for customers? What do you think? Where should we place it on vertical axis? If we can't find a restaurant, can we tip later or not? Is it must? It's not must. What do you think? So is it neutral thing? Is it like low value? do we have in the feature list another way how we can find restaurant?
There's a problem because every waitress would have to have an account, and then every restaurant should be already inside, so you can do this. So probably it would be like a year preparing, and then when it's all collected, the whole data, then it's easy. So I would say that it's high customer value, but it's difficult to make.
Okay, so let's imagine now that we already spent like 1 week considering the way how we can find the restaurant. And we see that's the best way how we can give to people the way to find. It's search. We already find out because we don't have any other way how we can find, for example, taste map, which is here, just through search. So let's not question if it is the best way, because we already made feature list for this task, and now our goal is to understand which features should be implemented. So as we don't have any other way to find restaurant which I have visited, so it's really important, yes? Because other way we will not be able to find neither waitress, neither tip. So I think it's in vertical scale is most important, because otherwise we will not be able to just simply deliver the value. How it is difficult to build comparing to other stuff. Let's say we have already engine or data of all restaurants. Somehow we bought it or we know how to build it. So I think search will be quite average. Let's see, most important, but not so difficult. Okay, selecting waitress from the list. The same, yes, I would also agree with that. So if we are not able to find waitress, we will get into problem because we will not be able to finish all tasks. One account for tips and distribution to all waitress. What do you think about this? Is it how important it is? I can hear you. Very important. Some other opinions? Vision is that we need to solve a problem that customer would not show exactly how much he has tipped. So this is in product vision. So if we will not implement this, we are doomed and vision will not be fulfilled, yes? So it's also very important. And is it difficult to build? I think it will be really low cost thing, like mathematical stuff. Okay, credit card. Do we have any other option? How we can make transaction? I think no. So it's also very important. Most likely it will not be easiest stuff. We need to find provider, etc. But it's doable. Then notification. That you have visited. Is it very important? What do you think? We can perform the action and the main, fulfill the main mission of the product without this, yes? Basically, we will be able to tip just selecting from the list, entering some amount, and that's it, yes? So this is nice to have thing, so we should go somewhere lower. Is it difficult to implement? I think no. Comparing to other stuff, it's not the easiest thing, but not very difficult. Offer to rate, is it important? What do you think?
Restaurants themselves would be very keen on having
Okay. Is it most important having in mind vision of a product? No. It's beautiful, nice. It's not very maybe difficult to implement, but it is somewhere here. Feedback about waitress and restaurant? The same. Okay, we should put it there. Check into restaurant using. What about this? Yes, and usually it's quite difficult to make integrations. So usually it's costly, needs a lot of testing, etc. Not always, but most time. And how it is important on vertical scale. So I think we should put it somewhere here in difficulty. And what about importance? Is it important or not? I think it's nice to have. So we can place it somewhere here. Reservation of a table. Where should we put it? It's nice to have, yes. If we look at our vision of a product, it's not something important. Maybe it's not very difficult to implement, so it goes somewhere here. Prepare your tip. Is it very important? If I will put it there, it's not very important. It's quite difficult to implement because usually when you have prepayment, so you have quite a lot of stuff to do in accounting and also processing because usually it's more difficult. And administration of a tip, so all administration tools, how you will do this. Is it important? Okay, it's important. And is it high? Okay, something here. So what do we have? So we have already evaluated all of our features, and what gets into this quadrant is do first because it's a high customer value. It is really important to implement our product vision, and it costs relatively low. So basically this is our MVP. So what gets into that quadrant? It's MVP. If we have really important stuff but costs are high, so after MVP and measuring success and deciding that okay, we can go forward, we should start implementing what is here. If we have something what is not so big value for customers but costs low, we should evaluate very carefully, and when we don't have anything from first and second quadrant, we go with that. If we get something here what costs a lot and value is not high, you should not implement this and revise if there is any sense, and if you can either modify those features to get more value or make it less expensive to implement. So basically that's the way how you can evaluate all list of features, which usually after some brainstorming you have a huge number. Okay, so where we are? Do you have any questions? Yes? Yeah, of course. I can share with Laurinas, and Laurinas can share with you. I can't directly, unless you will give to me your email. So.
Some tipping.
Yeah, and we can already. And you can tip me. Any other questions?
Have you ever encountered with a situation when the customer doesn't think that it faces a problem, but you form a problem?
Yes, so if you look at second slide, which I had, and usually that means that you don't have market fit. And this is happens very often in startups when someone thinks of some solution, technology, etc., but there's no real world problem for that. And the end usually is quite bad. So the same happened, for example, with how it's called. In Vilnius, we also have on two wheels, standing on platform and driving Segway. Yes, so Segway initially looked like very successful product. It's cool, techy, etc. It's like very nice mobility and so on, but actually it was a failure, and we sold, if I remember correctly, 10,000 units, and that's it. So nobody is buying, and we are trying to find market, but that's not success. So technology was there, it looks cool. We said we are solving mobility problem, but actually there was no problem, and there were better alternatives.
I'm extremely interested in those successful cases of this kind. And I have in mind only one with vegan shoes. Because manufacturers, still in Lithuania at least, they say that there's no market. And different factories said the same in Western countries as well. But then they formed the market that customers and people, they need vegan shoes because it's cruelty free and etc. So they somehow created or made people recognize that there is a problem, although they didn't think before that the problem exists.
I think that anyway the problem existed, just people didn't had solution for that. So I don't know exactly about that particular case, but anyway something this product solves some problem for those people. Anyway, if it is status, I don't know, product, so I just talking, maybe we have had allergies or something, we didn't have solution. So basically problem was existing, people didn't have solution, and that was often in the market with communication, proper communication, delivering message that there is solution, and they bought it. So anyway, I don't believe in situation when someone creates a product and there is no market need for that, and then you create market need. Anyway, problem exists. Maybe people just simply didn't thought that we can solve it, and you showed the way how you can solve it. So can it happen so that you find a solution, you don't know if there is problem, and when you find it, maybe. But it's quite risky way to find solution and then try to find problem for that. And you had also something?
I think it's a very good question. A lot of startups come up with the idea or solution without first testing for the real customer problem. So I guess that was the question. And what would be your advice to those kind of startups when in a very cheap way and quick way they have to test? Because building MVP is already resource and time. So checking the problem, sometimes there are better and cheaper ways to quickly do that. What would be your experience?
So MVP obvious is already more expensive way, and we have, I think, just two ways before, and what we can do. One is talking to people and trying to get information if we have problems. Of course, you can't conduct a lot of interviews, etc. But at least you can grasp if there is if there are people with such a problem. And if you can't find people with a problem, most likely you will not find much in the market as well. So talking is really important. Some years ago, there was like a mindset that talking about my idea is really bad because someone will hear about that idea and steal. That doesn't happen. From my experience, if you have really good idea, you need to put a lot of effort to make other people to believe that it's a really good idea. So going and talking about your idea and trying to find people who has a problem, really good. Another thing is observation. Today we are really well connected and we have a lot of ways how we can observe people. We can go to forums, we can read reviews of alternative products in Amazon, find out what pain points people have, and actually observing is really easy nowadays, and you should use at least those two methods when you are trying to understand if problem is really existing. Sorry? I use another one. And which one do you use? Graphical prototype. Yep. Okay. And can you share exactly how you are using it?
Oh, it's very, very simple, quick and dirty. You just do it, whatever you have at hand. It could be paper, it could be carton, it could be landing page. As you said, these concierge MVPs, these are very easy to make. So these are the tools. And then you basically collect the data. So it's not just talking, because people usually talk nice to you. If you ask a question, they want to be kind. And they will not criticize it. Yeah, go for this. Yeah, I would buy it, but that means nothing, basically.
Oh yeah, so that's another big topic, how to ask proper questions.
Yeah.
Because if you just ask, will you buy it and how much would you pay directly, most likely you will get incorrect answers. As you said, because people are polite, and if you talk to your friends, usually they will say not what they think, etc. So this is another already art, how to get proper answers. Yeah.
Observing, I really liked. That's the way you should do, but it takes a lot of time. Not everybody has. So I find rapid prototyping as a best tool.
Yeah, so that's one of the ways how you can make this talking easier when you have example to put something in your hand. And we are using the same method as well. In Deeper, we make like focus groups when we give some prototypes. Sometimes they are made from plastic instead of metal, etc. Sometimes we show wireframes of software in very early stages. Yes, that helps. But I consider that as the same
Just
talking
no
interviews.
focus groups, one-on-one. No focus.
Sometimes that gives different dynamics when you have interviews with group. And we had quite different experiences when you have groups with mixed levels, for example, of anglers. Sometimes we have groups with only, for example, very early stage anglers who are not experienced, sometimes who have a lot of experience. So you get totally different information from different type of groups and also those one-on-one interviews. So if you have opportunity to mix the ways, usually you get different information, because when you are talking one-on-one, sometimes it's difficult for people to be open and share their opinion. When you have, for example, a group of people, we start communicating together and they are start sharing information between. And that's totally different conversation, because it's already talking between two anglers and you just need to listen and moderate properly. If you have one-on-one, sometimes we are not so open, not giving advices and so on. Yeah, so those different ways of interviews, quite interesting and yeah, good way to get information. Any other questions or notes, or maybe you want to share your experience as well? Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope there was something interesting from that.
Yeah, say yes. Applause. Donatas.